Hey, what's going on, YouTubers? It's your boy Ray J coming at you with another Basement Boy Productions from my apartment building. Just did a long lesson on central bass riffs that you need to know, that you should know, that you hear all the time. So now I'm going to do a talk video. You know what I mean? Talk to the saints of the bass bass playing world. Couple viewers, couple of my esteemed colleagues have been asking me about the type of tone. Like, can you talk anything about tone? Because tone is important. It essentially identifies you to your bass playing. When you think of your favorite bass players, you attribute a certain type of tone to their playing. The question is, well, how did they achieve their type of tone? Did they go design their bass from the bottom and say, okay, this is the type of tone I'm trying to achieve? A lot of them, yes. When you think of the like Marcus Miller, Victor Wooten, the top echelon of bass players who have custom basses, they specifically design their basses to the specs and to the type of sound that they want to display. But I'm not built like that. You know what I mean? So, and most of us, did this quality get better? Hopefully. So, most of us can't do that. We just have a regular standard bass that we either got from a friend or got off of Craigslist. And from that, we try to get great tone. The question is, how do we? Well, in case you ever wondered, yes, I'm talking to you. Just pick up your phone and with a little payment as small as $999, I can unlock all the bass secrets that you ever been wanting to know, especially when it comes to tone. It's like I'm playing about the $999. But for real, getting your tone is nothing more than asking yourself one question. What type of sound interests me? Or, same question, what type of sound am I looking for? Because I hear a lot of bass players talk all the time, well, yeah, man, I'm just trying to get that tone, man. I don't like the tone. Well, what type of tone are you trying to get? And they be like, I don't know. Because what's funny is some type of tone that I may not like may be perfect for you. So is it really the tone, or is it the person trying to decide what type of tone they're looking for? If you like Nikes, some Adidas you're not gonna really enjoy Adidas because the shoes are made differently. They have a different flow to them. They look differently, and vice versa. If you like how shell tops look, you may not like how Air Force Ones look. It's not so much the shoe; it's the person in the shoe, the person that's looking at the shoe. Okay, so I said that all to say, ask yourself, what type of sound are you trying to go after? You can really settle the argument, the storm that's raging when you're practicing saying, oh man, the tone. You got to see what type of sound you want first. So I can help you a little bit with that. Try my best. So for example, let's just say I'm not going to go into the whole comprehensive lesson and instruction of like the different bass, wood types, the neck, the fretboard, the pickups, because that plays a part. But if you're looking to do that, let's just say for bass woods, the type of different woods that are out there, are many different woods, and that will play a part. But I'm gonna just talk to you about just your knobs, because if nothing else, if you know how to configure and master your knobs, you'll be fine in most areas. With if you have a standard bass, you still need a good sounding bass, like a Squire or Ibanez. But I'll talk to you about that. So, if you want to know about woods, I did the research before I came to you. So, Google bass guitar wood types. Hit enter. Then the second link should be the website studybass.com. Click on that, and it's going to give you little insight on the type of different woods and the sounds they have. I like that one. And if you scroll down further, you're going to see that it's going to say activebass.com. Everything you need to know about basswood. And that's another good one I recommend that you check out, because it just talks about the common necks and the fretboards that are here in America that we use, like the Alder, Swamp Ash. My Fender is Swamp Ash. My Douglas, I think that's like Alder. Rosewood fingerboard, which is this, the dark color, gives you a totally different sound and feel, well, sound I should say, than if you use maple, which is the light skin fretboard. Totally different sound. But we're not going to get into all that. All right, I'll let you do that research. I gave you the little ticket, so go talk with it. Okay, so what type of sound are you looking for? That's what you need to ask yourself. For example, Andrew Gouché, who is the Godfather King of gospel bass, has a totally different sound than Mono Neon. Not even playing, but just the way their bass sounds different. Mono Neon has a different sound than Joe Cleveland. Joe Cleveland has a different sound bass than Sheree Reed. And most of them have high standard basses. So that means not only do they have great bass, they know the tone they're trying to achieve. Daddy's tripping. He has another different tone on his bass playing, and they're all killer. And you, believe it or not, you can get some of their tone in your bass, all right? And the bass I'm using, let me show you the knobs, okay? It's an active bass, which means I have a battery pack, which is right here, which gives me just more power. All right, and this I only pay like 200. This is called a tune bass, and this is a low end bass as well. All right, so I have a volume knob. I have a balance, which my balance, if I turn it back, it just works on this pickup, which is your bridge pickup because it's closer to the bridge. And if I turn it forward, it activates the neck pickup, which is closer to the neck. All right, then I have bass, mids, and treble. Most of you, if you have like a regular standard bass, you won't have mids, which is perfectly fine. All right, and I'm sorry if you have a volume knob set on your bass, because I'm not a fan of. I don't like those. A lot of people still use them, and all the volume knob is that you have two knobs. Let's just say you would have two knobs that are responsible for your volume, which means you don't have an isolated volume knob. Like my volume is off now. I can do anything to these knobs, but nothing will come through. But on the volume and volume knob, you could turn one knob off, but if you turn another knob on, the bass will come on. So it's like two knobs responsible for volume as well as blend. So these two knobs become as one on volume type basses. All right, and you can find them on like certain Ibanez has them, like the starter ones. I know my Squier that I had a volume knob, and other like real low end. Okay, but if you really want good tone, I would say first invest in you got the intro basses. Invest in a beginner. No, I won't say beginner. Like if that's the intro bass, I want you you need to get right here. And it's still relatively cheap. Like you could find a good Squier bass that has great sound that's active for maybe around $500. And I highly recommend American Musical. Payment plans is what I live by. I have one due on Friday, but it's okay. And if you could do a payment plan and get a good quality bass, if you can afford it, I would really say invest in that. But if you're serious about your bass plan, you need to invest in a good bass, okay? Along with, of course, good instrument, good speaker cables, because they all play a part. but I'm gonna finally start talking more about the part I said I was going to talk about, which is your knobs. Everything on my speaker is at 12 o'clock. Everything is at half. So the way it sound I like. I used to love, let me tell you my story. I used to love a bassy bass sound. That means a lot of bass. So like right now I'm playing this. This is how I used to like it. This is how I play now. So my treble is half, my mids are half all the time. My volume is all the way up. And depending on the song, well most of the song, I play more with the bridge pickup. And that's how you a lot of bass players who like that or who play with the bridge pickup, I mean a neck bridge pickup, you get that kind of like that jock or that growl sound that you hear like in a lot of funk music. All right. So that's kind of like I like having my bass. Not so much bassy all the time. And again, my bass knob is down. There's no bass coming out of my bass. Just the 12 o'clock bass that it had that's on the amp. But there's no bass. My bass is shut down. And I got that from my boy Chris Hardy. His joint. He had a passive, I think it was a passive Fender. I said, yo, how you get that little growl? He said, yeah, Doc, he's from North Carolina. Yo, he's a beast. He said, yeah, man, I don't play with no bass. You know, I got my mids and treble at half, and I use my bridge pickup. And that's how I like. That's the sound I like. I just said a lot right there. When choosing your sound, it's okay if you want to draw from other sounds or other bass player tones that you like. Because truly to sit there and say, okay, I want a tone that's just original to me that no one ever heard, good luck with that. Almost every tone you can think of, someone just coming from the bass, no multi-effect pedal or anything like that. Everyone has a tone that can sound familiar that you have heard before. So don't drive yourself crazy with that. Just ask yourself, what type of tones do I like? How do I want it to sound growly? Do I want it to sound bassy? Do I want to have a lot of high treble in it? You need those type of questions. Ask yourself. And sometimes it just comes, just listen to a lot of different bass players and their tone, and you will gravitate to one of their tones. That's why you listen to many different bass players, and that's what I did. At first, I was loving, you know, my mentor, my one who inspired me, the Honorable Pastor Andre Alexander. He played a lot with his neck pickup, and his bass was always up. So it didn't sound like this, but rather it sounded like this. Remember, now I'm going all the way from here to here. Big difference. And I'm turning the bass up. And you hear I really need good quality so you can hear the difference. Because it's a distinct difference between, all right. So watch, and I'm gonna turn the bass back to how I played. Bass all the way on, bass off. So it's a difference. All right, and this is neck pickup, bridge pickup. All right. So I was like this, but I grew up loving a sound like this. All right. So even right there, two totally different sounds. And it just came from me just playing with these knobs. So don't drive yourself crazy. Like I said, you don't need a higher end bass, but it has an effect later on once you know the type of tone you're trying to achieve and you know how to set your tone. But I want to start right here, get you down pack on your knobs. Okay, so that was kind of my bass transition. I used to love the bass. You'd be like, yeah, I just want bass, full bass, active all the time. But when I started listening to other bass players as my musical category, my musical mindset, mentality grew. I started listening to different bass players, and like I said, you will gravitate to one. So I was loving Joe. I still love Joe Cleveland, but now I mainly listen to Mono Neon, and his tone sounds totally different than, let's say, a Joe Cleveland or a Sheree Reed, and I love them both. Listen to them all the time. But I love Mono Neon's tone. It sounds growly. It has that bark. It has that little that growl when he do different shapes. And that's a result of how he has his knob, and then also, of course, you know, your pickups and everything. But having the same pickup, I can come close to his sound. So again, the question is, what type of sound, out of all the bass players you know, what type of tone, whose tone do you gravitate to more? All right. If it's bassy, if you like a bassy tone, you play with the bass. All right. So let me turn it. That's the bassy tone. That's the bassy tone. But that's a bassy tone, and I say bass because my bass is all the way up. I don't want to turn volume up because I don't want to get kicked out. But my bass is all the way up. Mids and treble is the same, but I'm using the bridge pickup. All right, and the bridge pickup is full. Now let's say I'm gonna put everything in the middle, just so you can see how everything sounds. We call that flat sound. Everything is flat. All right, so that sounds high flat, and I can really say, I should have said this earlier, just to see what type of sounds, tones you can come up with. Start with everything flat, and just pick one that you want to like move all the way to the right or to the left, and try that. And you just got to really play around with your type of tones. But I'm here just to give you some insight on, okay, well, if you like a little crunchy bass, that's how you do it. So if you like all bassy bass, turn the treble down, have the the neck pickup activated full force. I won't touch the mid because most don't have mids. My bass is all the way up, my treble's off. Like I said, everything on the amp is still at 12 o'clock, and it's how it should sound. All right. All right. So if you don't like that, just see how the same thing with sound in the middle, having your blend or your balance in the middle. So you're using both. All right, and you can take it off. Now, let's say you want a little growl to your bass. So it's not so much that you want it boom. Oh shoot, you don't want it boom, but you want it a growl. All right. What I would do, demonstrate. I'm gonna activate my bridge pickup, turn my bass down, my bass volume knob off, turn my treble at half, little more than half, and your volume can be all the way up. I love that lick. All right, so that sounds kind of growlish. Now, where your pickups and well, mainly your pickups, your electronics come in, is that if you have good pickups, and good pickups mean they just send out a stronger signal for your bass section, your mids, and your trebles. That growl will really begin to speak. And the preamps I recommend is Audere. Audere. Just Google Audere preamps. The best preamps ever. Seriously. I take them over Aguilar. I take them over Bassmod. Listen, Audere is no joke. I have it in my Fender. My Fender is under construction right now because, pray for me, saints. Once I pay down my credit card and be debt free, which won't take maybe about next month, I'm gonna actually get some Bassmod big fat pickups, single coil pickups to go with that Audere preamp, and it's gonna be amazing. So, and that's another thing. Let's say you don't have money, $600 to get a new bass. What you can do, if you have about maybe 180, 200, you can get a preamp. Whether if it's an Aguilar preamp, Norstrand preamp, or EMG or whoever, Audere, having a preamp will just boost your current signals, and that's good because your bass will go from like a 5 to a 9. So even though you don't have the upper end basses like a J bass, American, and all that, just using your Ibanez, and I've heard it. My boy had a lower end Ken Smith J bass, put a preamp in that thing, all Aguilar OPB3, that thing was growling and rumbling. So that's another thing you could do to help with your sound after you find a type of tone that you want. If you don't have really a lot of money to buy a new bass, it's really about your electronics. I would say get some good electronics, and they just boost the signal. But what the neck does, it kind of translates the signals that you have. So if you have a lot of bass, how is that treble and mids being presented? Is it being presented in a warm tone, an overwhelming tone, a light tone, a smooth tone? And that's where your bass woods come in. The lighter, the heavier, the darker, the lighter, the heavier, and everything like that. But at first, it starts right here. Once you find that, and you think, okay, I need more, so that can really project. Look into your electronics. For pickups, I love Norstrand. I have, yes, my Douglas. I pay $185 for that Douglas. I have a Aguilar OPB3 preamp in it, and I have. Let me go show you real quick. Sorry for the long lessons, fellas and ladies. Let me show you real quick. All right. This is my Douglas. I got this from rondomusic.com. Paid $185 for it. And isn't she lovely? This is my first thought. This is my first bass ever bought with my own money. My dad bought me Ibanez. This is 5-string Douglas, the gold hardware. And look at this. She's beautiful. Gold trim. Woo! And they had just factory pickups. But these are, I should say, not this is. These are Nordstrand pickups. Nordstrand.com. They get a lot of free advertisement, and I'm not even endorsed, even though they don't know me. Okay, so this is a split coil pickup. All right, you have your single coil pickups. The difference between the single coil and the split coil is split coils are hum canceling. So if you ever heard or even have single coil pickups, you know when you turn the treble all the way up, you get all that feedback. Split coils give you the same type of sound without the feedback. And this is their version of a Music Man humbucker pickup. All right, this is like the M5 because of the 5-string. And I think I paid around they were like $135 a piece. And I have a preamp in here behind here. And I paid my wife paid like $130 for it. And it's powerful. And the knobs here, this is the blend knob to go bridge, neck. This is the volume knob. Shoot. This is the mid-range. And this is a treble bass stack. So the bass is right here, the treble's right here, and this thing sounds amazing. So technically, I put more work into it. I paid more work into it than I actually paid for the bass. But she looks good and she sounds good. And that's what the treble is doing. Yeah. And no basses on this. And these are kind of like new. What strings are these? Oh, these are Elixir stainless steel. Okay. And this bass sounds totally different than this. Even though, here's the thing. I have the same settings that I said I like to play. No bass. The bass is off. It's all this humbucker. All the bridge bass and this. But what can sound different is, that's when you get talking about pickups. These are like zebra pickups or soap bar pickups compared to a humbucker in a single coil, which sounds totally different. Now, if I had just a bridge pickup on my Fender bass, that would be a single coil, and it would sound a little bit different. But overall, I like using my bridge pickup because I can use alright, and that was with this pickup, but it would sound totally different if this was back here, if I had another single coil. It's just something about when you're using a bridge, it sounds like thinner because you're where the strings let off. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Versus it sounds fuller up here because the strings are not cut off. Just like it would be more water the further you go into the ocean. This is the ocean. All right, this represents the water, and this is you. But when you're right here, it's not as much water. It's not as deep. It's light. Hopefully that was a good analogy. All right. So I'm trying to think if I said anything else. It was 30 minutes. You really gotta let me know if you watched this. If it was helpful. Not for my vainglory. I don't do things like that. But hopefully overall, I hope I answered the question about your bass tone, developing your tone. Ask yourself, what type of tone do you like? Bassy, trebly, mid-rangey? What type of pickup you like to use, the bridge or the neck? Then you ask yourself, well, okay, well, what type of bass player's tone do I like? Because just asking yourself right there, you will begin to develop and find your own tone. Okay, even though your tone is not going to be unheard of, there's many, like Mono Neon, there's many people that has his type of tone, but what makes his tone stands out is the way he approaches it, which talks more of his playing. Sheree Reed, Joe Cleveland can have the same type of tone, but their playing is different. That's what gives them their individuality added to their bass. Okay, so don't beat yourself in the head too much over tone. Just find a tone that you like, try to get it, and it's okay if you want to change and experiment, because there's going to be certain songs, as you, depending on where you are, when you recognize, okay, for this song my tone has to be different compared to the last song I played, because this tone requires more of the neck pickup, because it's like that either funk or that kind of like churchy. But this song is like a worship feel. It doesn't need my bridge pickup. It needs the neck pickup. The bridge pickup for like churchy / type funkers. But for my neck pickup, when it's like a worship feel and I just want like a lot of bass. Sound different than So this your boy Ray J. Appreciate everybody who's been commenting, subscribing, liking, and sharing. Continue to do that good stuff, and let's grow as one. Peace.